I like to dedicate this to all of the Creator's righteous children. I have some food in my bag for you. Not that edible food, that food you eat? No. I have some food for thought. Since knowledge is infinite, it has infinitely fell on me.
Peace to all of my indigos and star seeds. Welcome back to a new episode of Forever Flowers, my series where I talk about these artists and these musicians and these actors and actresses and artists who are not always given the flowers that they deserve while their time is on earth. And today we're going to be talking about somebody who I truly love, who has become somebody who is super important in my life, somebody who I've basically been a fan of since before I can remember and before I knew who she really was. She's part of a sister tribe that I like to call the hippie, neo-hippie, God bless the freaks, person and sister. Her name is Cree Summers. Now, you guys might know who Cree Summers is a little bit, but you might not know her full backstory. And today I'm going to be giving her flowers because Cree Summers deserves her flowers because she has been rocking it since she was like 11 years old, even younger than that. And a lot of my favorite cartoons, a lot of my favorite TV shows, and just many different things in general wouldn't be what they are without Cree Summers. So sit back, relax, and let's go dive into Cree Summers. So for me, I first discovered Cree Summers a while ago, but to be honest, my journey with Cree Summers started when I was about 3 years old. I loved Rugrats growing up. It was one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and it came on Nickelodeon, and it was one of the very first Nicktoons. And when Rugrats first came on, they didn't really have any black people on the show. So season 2 came along, and they decided to create the character of Susie. I didn't know who the voice actors of these cartoons were because I was like 3. So it took me a long time to really figure out who the voice of Susie was. And when I realized who it was, it all made sense. Cree Summers has been a part of voice acting culture since she was around 11. And she started off, she says in many interviews, kind of purely nepotism, to be honest, because her father, Don Franks, was a big voiceover actor in Toronto, in Canada. And so she basically would go to the studios with him all the time, and they kind of just, the people at the studios were kind of just like, let's try Cree out. And Cree did an awesome job and really made a staple trademark for herself with her raspy voice that she always says sounds like she just smoked a bunch of methylated cools and drank a bunch of Jack Daniels, you know? But I love that about her voice, honestly. That's just her trademark. And you know, one of her first acting jobs that she ever did, voice acting job that she ever did, was very famously, she coined Penny from Inspector Gadget. And I was a huge Inspector Gadget fan growing up. They used to show the reruns in the 90s of the Inspector Gadget cartoons on Nickelodeon. And I just love Inspector Gadget. It was a really great cartoon, and I'm really glad to know that she was the voice of Penny. She also was the voice of Elmira on Tiny Toons, and she just has a slew of credible, very well-known voice acting characters that she's done over the years, from Susie Carmichael to Miranda from As Told by Ginger to Number 5 from Codename Kids Next Door to, Foxy Love from Drawn Together, to just so many notable voiceovers. And she was even talking about on a podcast that she was recently on, called Questlove Supreme, which if you're not checking out Questlove Supreme, you should be, because basically Questlove from the legendary Roots crew, has a podcast where he basically interviews a bunch of people and pretty much gives them their flowers, that need to be given flowers, that are doing incredible work out here in the entertainment industry, but really doing it in a really awesome way. So for me, I loved Rugrats growing up. I loved As Told by Ginger. I loved Codename Kids Next Door. I loved Atlantis the Lost Empire. She was the princess in that. She was technically a Disney princess. They don't give her props, but they should. And she has just been a staple in my life since I was very little. But it wasn't until very recently that I kind of got on the Cree Summers bandwagon. So growing up, I was too young to watch A Different World, but I always had watched The Cosby Show, so I knew about A Different World, and I knew that, Lisa Bonet had left The Cosby Show to go be on A Different World and be at Hillman, but then it didn't work out because she got pregnant with Zoe, with Lenny, and then all that stuff happened, and then she ended up back on The Cosby Show, and blah, 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 blah. Basically, I really hadn't watched A Different World. I only watched The Cosby Show, so I didn't really know that much about A Different World, but I knew it existed. It wasn't until I was in my 20s and they started to have reruns on Netflix, and now it is actually on Amazon Prime as well. So I started watching them, right? And I think they had showed them on TV a few times too, and I think BET may have shown them, and TV One, and all these channels, right? And so for me, I started watching, A Different World, and I fell in love, right? And so I've watched A Different World about 3 times now, the whole series, from front to back, even the first season, which is not good. But for me, the ultimate standout, of course, to me, was Freddie. I could relate to Freddie on so many levels, and I can relate to Cree Summers as a person on so many levels, because Cree Summers and Freddie Brooks kind of just embody who I am and who I've grown up to be, and the way that my parents raised me, basically. Cree Summer's backstory is basically that her parents were very prominent actors and actresses in Hollywood, but they were kind of getting disillusioned with the whole Hollywood scene and everything, so they kind of dropped out of society and decided to go live on a Native American or First Nation reserve in Canada called the Red Pheasant Reservation. And famously, like she has said in a song that she wrote called Save Yourself, which is an incredible song, please go check it out, she talks about how her father built them a house made of mud, and that they were on this reservation and living, the nomadic life. They lived out of a school bus at one time too, and her brother and her parents, they just lived this nomadic life, and I just found it to be so whimsical and so magical and so incredible and so amazing that it just felt really, truly honest, really, truly a beautiful experience. And growing up, because I am Indigenous Native American and African American, and Cree Summers is African American and white, and lived on a Native American reservation, and I have some white in me too, I can relate to her story very, very well. And, growing up, I did not live on a reservation, but I did visit many of them, and I could relate to her story. And so, her nomadic parents' lifestyle and the way that they let her drop out of high school at 17, and we're just very much about spirituality, about culture, about just being these whimsical people. I was here for it 100%. And so when I watched her on A Different World, it just felt like Cree Summers was embodying herself, that she was basically living out her own life on screen. And the story that they give Freddie is that she has a black dad, a white mom, and she's from New Mexico, and she's just this tumbleweed who blows into town and is basically this hippie, basically fight the power type chick, and I love it. I love it 100%. That's the type of thing that I try to embody in my life to this day, and I appreciate that about her. She was very spiritual. She believed in the cosmos. She had crystals. She did incense. She meditated. She did all of the things, all of the beautiful things. And, sadly, they couldn't make Freddie Brooks actually be able to sing or dance on the show because they were supposed to make her this tumbleweed who couldn't really figure out life. But in real life, Cree Summers actually is an incredible singer and actually has had 2 different albums out in her lifetime and hopefully is going to be making new music soon. The first album that she put out was called Womb Amnesia by Subject to Change, and that was her alternative metal, Afropunk, black rock band album, right? And it's a very funky, but very metal, but very punk, but it's really cool. It's like this black feminist, fight the power. I'm really irritated because America sucks, because this world sucks, because of the way we treat women, because of the way we treat black folks, because of the way we treat everybody, the way we treat Mother Earth, like all these things. And she basically put it out in the album, and it's an incredible album. It did not get its just due, and it kind of flopped, which was so sad. But you can find the album actually on YouTube, and it's an incredible album. You need to go check it out. And I actually did a review of the album on my blog, iceturtlegirl.blog. So you guys should totally go check it out because it's an incredible album. And something that Cree has always talked about is that she has such a passion for music, but it never really worked out in her favor. And so I'm hoping her next journey with music will really work. She actually had an album out back in 1999 called Street Fairy, and it's an incredible album, okay? That album is actually on Spotify, iTunes, all the places. But it's an incredible album. You need to go check it out. It's also very feminist, very spiritual, very cultural, very hippie type album. And if you're into like folk music, but also kind of rocky, but soulful music, it's there. It's great. It's amazing. It's wonderful. Something else I really love about Cree Summers is that she is raising 2 incredible daughters, and she gets to share their journey with us on the internet, on Instagram, and I love it. And they're both incredible little light beings, you know what I mean? And she's like basically helping them to grow up to be incredible little women, you know what I mean? It's just something that is always going to be something that I admire about her, is that she's raising the next generation of little badass women, and I'm here for it. So yeah, you know, in 1999 Cree Summers hooked up with Lenny Kravitz to make her album Street Fairy, and he has been a big influence on her music, but also just in general. They are brother and sister, and I love that. You know, her and Lisa Bonet / Lilikoi Moon, which is her name she has now, are like soul sisters. And actually on a track on Street Fairy, Soul Sisters, the song, actually has backing harmony from Lilikoi Moon, and it's so beautiful to see. She has a song called Save Yourself, which is not actually on an album, but it has a music video on YouTube, and it's a really incredible song that basically talks about her backstory and about basically being your own person, being independent, and knowing that nobody can save you. You have to save yourself, because at the end of the day, you are your own person and you must do for you. And it's really, really beautiful. It actually stars Zoe Kravitz in the video, younger Zoe Kravitz in the video. And it's just a really, really beautiful music video, beautiful song. And you know, I listen to Street Fairy almost once a week. I'm pretty much obsessed with that album right now. I just kind of discovered it a few months ago, and I'm so into it like crazy. It's just incredible, right? And I just love Cree Summers and what she is and who she is, and the way that she just is this badass warrior hippie chick who is just fighting the power in her own special way, and just bringing, you know, all these beautiful characters to life, and just, you know, being this incredible person who brings so much light and joy into my life, and is just this hippie freak that she likes to call herself, who is out here making waves in any way she can, being one of the few, very, very few people of color and Black women in the voiceover community. And it's just a beautiful testament to who Cree Summers is, who she will always be. And I just love her. And I just wanted to bring her so many flowers while she's still here on this earth, because I find her to be such a humble spirit, such a moving spirit. And I just love her so much. And she is definitely a kindred spirit, a soul sister. And there's just nobody like her. And I'm just so proud of who she is, where she's become, where she's come from, and who she embodies in this world, you know. Always, forever, she will be Freddie. Always, forever, she will be these characters that I grew up with in my cartoons. She's just a genuine soul, and I'm just so glad that she exists in this world, and I'm just so happy that she is who she is. So, kudos to you, Freddie Brooks, aka Cree Summers, and I love you, sister. You are amazing, and I just hope that you continue to make waves and be the incredible person that you are in this world for many, 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 many more years to come. And I can't wait to see the way that you and your beautiful daughters basically make the world a better place in the way of art and music and entertainment, and just the beautiful spirit that you invoke into this world. So I love you, and I can't wait to meet you one day, because I really hope to meet you one day. And just, I love you, and I hope that you are always feeling passionate about the work that you do. So until next time, my beautiful indigos and star seeds, peace and blessings.